Welcome to this edition of Daily World TV. I'm Ajit Chak and I'm your host for the day, and sitting with us here is Cal Korf, who is our specialist for the day. Cal, as you're aware, there's been a high alert and a hijacking threat to 3 airports in India, and the CISF is there with its paraphernalia, security, its AK-47s, everything. But do you think we are doing enough in India to prevent hijacking from taking place? I mean, how do they tackle these issues in Israel, and how do they tackle these issues in the US?
Well, I think a good way to summarize it, and thanks for the question, is that in Israel they really tackle it. In India they go through the motions and often don't. One simple example, you have guys at the airport with Kalashnikovs. That's good news. The bad news is they have no bulletproof vests. They're useless in that sense. So one bullet, they're down. In Israel, for example, when you go to the airport, the road you take is a normal road, just like you take the road to the airport in India. The difference is that Israel photographs your license plate miles before you get there, so that by the time you come up to the entry booth, they know who you are. And that's a key potential blocking point right there. If you stole a car and it was in the system as being stolen, they would know, here comes a stolen car. So that guard may act sweet and innocent, but he knows that you're a guilty guy doing something. You may or may not be attempting to cause a problem at the airport. They're going to stop you right there. Secondly, there's no backups for the guys who are at the booths going into the airport. There's one guy, maybe two, but there's no one else around him who can protect those guys if somebody drove up and started shooting. In Israel, every guard can see each other. So they can provide crossfire and support if needed. If that basic, simple, tried and true tactic had been used in Gurdaspur, it's arguable that those officers would be alive today, because the first guy may have been killed, but the other guards could have taken out the bad guys because they would have been there to see what happened. So nobody is ever out of sight. A third thing is you set up basically what's called a 3-ring security perimeter, where you have 3 rings inside of each other. Each ring has more security personnel. Okay. The innermost ring has the most, because the idea is if you get past the first 2, you better stop them in the last one. So one key difference, for example, when I went to the US a while back, I had to take off my shoes 3 times because of the shoe bomber years ago from Al-Qaeda. I didn't enjoy it, but I understood why, and I didn't have a problem with that. I'd rather be safe than sorry. They don't do that in India. So when I go to the small airports in India, they scare me because they're not secure, and I have a background in that area going back decades. They're not secure, and when you have people with guns but no armor, it's ridiculous.
So basically what you're saying is that we need to invest in technology to provide intelligence to the guards as to who's approaching them in the first place, so they can stop him even before the point of delivery, before the person actually tries to act or take some action. And then you are saying that we need backups for the guards who are actually there, because in case somebody guns them down, there should be somebody to protect them, give them covering fire, whatever. So there are definitely weaknesses and lacunae and loopholes in our security system, and we desperately need to invest in the right technology to give the right kind of intelligence inputs to our guards, right?
Yeah, and there is one key difference you do at the Delhi airport, which is different from most airports. In most airports, you can actually go quite far into the airport and see your relatives or friends off. In Delhi, you can't do that. They don't let you in there unless you have a boarding pass, or you have to pay an extra fee in rupees to go a fixed length in there. That's a good, prudent security step that other airports don't take. The problem is that all the bad stuff can happen outside that door. You guys let people in easily into the parking lots, and of course if you detonate a bomb, God forbid, in a underground parking lot, the physics of that explosion are going to make it worse, because it's contained and it's going to be concentrated as opposed to happening in an open area.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's true.
You don't really have good security once you reach airport property. Your good security occurs just because you won't let a relative see another relative off. But by that point, that's your last line of defense. And you got one guy, maybe 2, they have no armor, they've got rifles. A couple of bad guys who were quick shots could easily fire and run in there and throw grenades or whatever. I don't want to give ideas. But the point is, the mindset has to change, because you can buy all the technology in the world, but if you think for 1 minute giving a guy a rifle without even wearing body armor is security, then I think you should be fired.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.